Have you ever wondered why some married women, and men too, find themselves yearning for excitement outside their committed relationships? Is it boredom, loneliness, or is it something deeper, something ancient, something that the philosophers, like the Stoics, warned us about centuries ago? Today, we're going to dive deep into this question and uncover the shocking truth behind it. You might be surprised by what Stoicism reveals about human nature, relationships, and the choices we make. But here's the catch. This isn't a video about judgment. It's not about pointing fingers, labeling right or wrong, or blaming anyone. Instead, it's about understanding the core of what makes us tick as human beings. Because when we see someone making a choice we don't quite understand, like a married woman seeking adventure outside her relationship, our first instinct is often to judge. But the Stoics, they teach us to pause, reflect, and ask, what's really going on here? And even more importantly, what can we learn from this? So if you're ready to look at human behavior in a whole new light, stick around, because this isn't just about marriage. It's about understanding the very essence of who we are. Let's start with a question that might seem simple, but is actually incredibly complex. Why do some married women, or men for that matter, look for adventure outside their relationships? It's easy to say, oh, they're just selfish, bored, or they don't love their partner anymore. But here's the thing. Human behavior isn't that straightforward. Stoicism teaches us to peel back the layers, to dig deeper. Imagine this. A woman chooses to step outside her marriage, not just for fleeting excitement, but for something much deeper. A longing for connection, a craving for validation, a desperate desire for freedom or adventure that she feels is missing. And here's the twist. This isn't just a modern issue. The Stoics, who lived thousands of years ago, understood this very well. They knew that humans are complicated, beings driven by desires, emotions, and an ongoing search for meaning. So what's going on when someone steps outside their relationship? Let's break it down. First, it's the issue of expectations. We go into marriage thinking it's going to be a perfect fairy tale, right? But the truth is, marriage is messy. It's full of compromises, sacrifices, and compromises. Over time, that initial spark fades. Routines set in, conversations become predictable. For some, that's suffocating. But here's where Stoicism comes in. The Stoics believed that happiness doesn't come from external things, not from our partners, not from material possessions, not from anything outside of ourselves. True happiness, they said, comes from within. It's about our ability to control our thoughts, our emotions, and how we respond to the world around us. Now, if happiness is something that comes from within, then why do so many people still chase after it outside their relationships? Why do they go on the hunt for adventures, even when they know it could destroy everything they've built? That's what we're going to explore now. The Stoic view on desire and happiness. Let's begin by looking at desire to D and how the Stoics viewed it. They argued that most of our problems stem from one thing, wanting what we don't have. Think about it. When we feel unhappy in our relationship, it's often because we're focusing on what's missing. We feel unappreciated. We're bored. We crave excitement. But here's the thing. The Stoics said that this desire is the root of suffering. The Stoics used a term called epimia, unhealthy desire. It's the kind of craving that's never satisfied, no matter how much we get. Think about this. Imagine a married woman who feels unfulfilled. She looks for excitement outside her marriage, maybe through an affair or by chasing after new experiences. But even if she finds what she's looking for, that excitement, that thrill, it's like pouring water into a leaky bucket. The more she chases after it, the emptier she feels. The Stoics would say, stop chasing after more. Instead, change how you think about what you already have. They taught that true happiness comes from inner peace. finding contentment within ourselves, not depending on external things to make us happy. So how do we do that? How do we find inner peace when everything around us seems to be screaming for more? One of the Stoics' most powerful practices is negative visualization, appreciating what you have by imagining losing it. Sounds dark, right? But hear me out. Imagine this. You're in a relationship and you feel bored, unappreciated. Instead of focusing on what's missing, try this. Imagine waking up one day and your partner is no longer there. What would you miss about them? What would you regret not saying or doing? This isn't about morbid thinking. It's about shifting your perspective. When we take our partners for granted, we stop appreciating them. But when we imagine losing them, we realize just how much they mean to us. There's a story of Seneca, one of the wealthiest men in ancient Rome. Every day, he practiced negative visualization. He would imagine losing his wealth, his family, even his status. And by doing this, he learned to appreciate everything he had instead of constantly craving more. So, if you're feeling unfulfilled, try this exercise. Imagine losing your partner. What would you regret not doing? The role of external validation now. Let's talk about something that drives many people to seek adventures outside their relationships. The need for external validation. Let's be honest, we all want to feel valued. We want to be seen, appreciated, desired. When we don't get that in our relationships, it's easy to look for it elsewhere. But here's the trap. Relying on external validation is like building a house on sand. No matter how much attention or praise you get, it's never enough. You'll always want more. The Stoics had a term for this: pro or mindfulness. They believed that true self-worth comes from within. It's about knowing your own value, regardless of what others think. Imagine this. A woman feels invisible in her marriage. Her husband doesn't compliment her anymore, and she starts to feel like she's lost her spark. She seeks attention elsewhere, maybe flirting at work or joining a dating app. It feels good at first. She feels seen again. But the truth is, that feeling won't last, because deep down, she's still looking for someone else to validate her. Until she learns to validate herself, she'll always be chasing that feeling. The power of self-discipline and choice. One of the core principles of Stoicism is self-discipline. The Stoics believed that while we can't control what happens to us, we can control how we respond. And that's where the power lies. Let's say a woman feels tempted to seek adventure outside her marriage. She's lonely, unappreciated, and bored. Then she meets someone who makes her feel alive again. At this moment, she has a choice. She can give in to her impulses, or she can pause, reflect, and ask, is this really what I want? Or am I just trying to fill a void? Stoic self-discipline is all about recognizing your impulses, but not letting them control you. It's about making choices based on your values, not your emotions. The Stoic philosopher, Epictetus, was born a slave, yet he became one of the most respected teachers of his time. How? By practicing self-discipline. He believed that true freedom comes from mastering your own mind. So, if you're feeling tempted, ask yourself, what am I really looking for? Is it excitement, validation, freedom? And then, make a choice based on what truly matters to you. The pressure of society and modern expectations. Finally, let's talk about society's influence on our choices. In today's world, we're constantly bombarded with messages telling us we need more success, more excitement, more perfect relationships. We're exposed to curated images of perfect lives on social media, and it's easy to start comparing ourselves. Why isn't my relationship like that? We think. But here's the truth. What you see isn't real. It's a fantasy. a curated highlight reel meant to make you feel like you're missing out. The Stoics believed that we should focus on what's real. They called this fantasia, the false impressions that cloud our judgment. So if you feel pressured by society's expectations, take a step back. Ask yourself, what do I really want? Not what society tells me to want, but what truly matters to me. Embrace your fate. Finally, let's discuss amor fati, a powerful Stoic concept meaning love your fate. Instead of resisting what happens to us, we should embrace it. Imagine a woman who's unhappy in her marriage and tempted to seek adventure. Instead of running from her situation, she chooses to embrace it. "This is my life, my marriage," she says. "I'm going to make the best of it." This doesn't mean staying in a toxic or abusive relationship. It means accepting where you are, finding joy in the present, and making the best of what you have. The Stoic philosopher Zeno lost everything in a shipwreck, but he didn't despair. Instead, he embraced his fate, saying, "Fortune has done me a favor. Now I can focus on philosophy." Conclusion: at the end of the day, whether it's staying faithful or seeking adventure, the choices we make come down to one thing: our ability to understand and control our desires. Stoicism teaches us that we can't control what happens to us, but we can control how we respond. So if you're feeling stuck in your relationship or tempted to seek happiness outside of it, ask yourself, what am I really searching for? And can I find it within myself?